I joined the Calibrated Group as an engagement manager. Within a few years, I got promoted and moved to become the managing director of the company. And for me, that was an exhilarating experience. I think for the first time, I learned how to build companies. As part of my job, I was overseeing 3 different companies that were part of the group, and I learned how to build them. I dealt with various issues. So for me, it was a much bigger and better than doing an MBA, because I learned on the ground how to build companies, how to manage them. And all of that experience eventually has been very useful at SaveLIFE in running SaveLIFE Foundation professionally, as a professional organization, hiring professionals to work with us. Our approach has been very systematic. So I think all of those things I learned from my previous jobs, and I think I'm very thankful that I went through that. Well, one of the first things I discovered as I was starting out was that a lot of people who wanted to help injured persons could not do so because of fear of legal hassles. So our law failed to protect people who are called good Samaritans, who are the people who would come forward to help injured persons from any kind of legal or procedural hassle. And I think that's the first big loophole that we discovered, which is causing a lot of lives that could have been saved were getting lost. At this point of time, India does not have an emergency care model. We have a scattered approach to emergency care. We throw ambulances on the road. Ambulances don't follow any minimum standards. The National Ambulance Code, which was released a few years ago, is yet to be made mandatory across the country. We don't have a universal access number on which people around the country can call a single number and access help, like 911 in the US or 112 in Europe. We need bystander care, which means that after the call has been made and while waiting for the ambulance to come, people should be able to assist the injured person. For ambulatory care, we need a National Ambulance Code so that all ambulances follow minimum standards of staffing and equipment. And we need, finally, a proper grading of hospitals so that we know which hospital can handle what kind of trauma. So our immediate focus is on ensuring that India gets a strong road safety law, which addresses issues ranging from licensing to training to enforcement to protection of children and other vulnerable road users, to establishing minimum standards for road construction, vehicle safety, trauma care, scientific investigation of accidents, and so on and so forth. So all of these things are missing right now. So we need a law that actually addresses that. Our future plans are that if India does get this law, we will then work with various state governments to help implement this law. See, when we talk about laws establish some sort of a framework under which different interventions can take place. Once the framework is established, once the law comes into place, then we will assist state governments in implementation of those laws. So whether it is through technology, whether it is through community participation, or whether it is through training, we will bring all that onto the table and make sure that we assist states and assist governments both in urban parts of India and rural parts of India to become aware about this. Stronger laws alone will not be able to bring about change. Implementation of those stronger laws through proper channels such as technology, by involving the community, is the way to bring about change. So laws alone cannot do anything, no matter how good they are. They require proper enforcement, proper implementation, and community participation for them to be a success. And we hope that if India does get a strong road safety law, the community will participate in helping the police enforce it. Police will use a lot more technology to remove corruption from the scene, and we will see some change on the ground as a result. Well, there are various risks involved. One is that you are leaving the security of a job and you are doing something which may or may not succeed. You could fail. In my case, for example, the big risk for me was to not draw a salary for over a year. Is to work with a conviction that hopefully someday SaveLIFE will be big enough where we can hire staff, pay everybody salaries, and so on and so forth. The other big risk has been, that entrepreneurs often face, is to convince families to support them because they are working 12 hours, 14 hours a day. So family support is very important, and if you don't have that support, then it can become a risky business proposition. So these are a few risks that people have to. So my advice to entrepreneurs really is to make sure that they have some way of sustenance when they get into something. They shouldn't be so bootstrapped that they are struggling themselves in their life, and make sure that they set a group of supporters around themselves. Save Life is very lucky to have had very strong supporters from the beginning. They've given us good advice that has been very, very helpful for us, and it's been a great journey as a result. So we've obviously faced multiple challenges. We started off as a very small organization, had no resources. So of course the challenge of resources is a big challenge that many non-profits suffer from. We've been fortunate enough to win some very prestigious grants and awards from around the world. We are also very lucky that the general public in India donates to us on a regular basis. So we get donations as low as of 10 rupees to a few thousand rupees. So it shows that even people who have limited means want to get involved in, want to see safer roads, want to see us work harder. So it's very pleasing to see that.
Well, SaveLIFE Foundation, interestingly, is pretty much like a startup. And it has been created by two people. The founder, Piyush Tewari, is himself a very young person. And I think he brings a lot of energy to creating this SaveLIFE Foundation. It's a very focused NGO, specifically working towards two areas. One is the motor vehicles area, and within that motor vehicles area, the basic issue is that there are a lot of accidents in this country. How do you prevent accidents and what do you do about them? And number two, how do you make people who actually have been witnessing these accidents, how do you make them respond to a situation where they have witnessed an accident and they must report?
The one big issue that we faced initially was apathy of public officials. When we would go and meet them and we'd go and try and convince them, we were mostly rejected and we were not heard. So we had to persevere, we had to persist and make sure that we are heard. And eventually we understand now that our view is well respected in the country when it comes to road safety. The government listens to us on many occasions. Our views are invited by the government whenever a major policy decision is to be taken.
From what I can see, SaveLIFE Foundation can actually help formulate the new Motor Vehicles Act. And if we can actually play a major role in making sure that safety, road safety is very much included as part of the Motor Vehicles Act, we would have done a very good job. And I think that next 1 to 2 years, we should see that happen. The same goes for the Good Samaritan Act. I think in the next few years, we should be able to take the guidelines and get them converted to a proper law.
We obviously would encourage a lot more entrepreneurs to start looking at social problems and start finding ways to make it commercially viable, the solution to be commercially viable. Road safety in itself is such an area that requires massive amount of entrepreneurial spirit. Everything from training to technology incorporation and licensing, to helping the police enforce through better technology, to road design and engineering, to public awareness. Technology has a massive role to play, and I hope that technology entrepreneurs can take on some of these things and set up startups and set up organizations to actually address them. So of course the opportunity is huge. I understand that for them a big question mark is to make things commercially viable, but I do believe that the demand for road safety is increasing in India from the public, so there can be a consumer that these startups can find and make their businesses commercially viable.
So start ignition, count to 0. I just wanna be a superhero.